My name is Suren. I've been in practice probably about 30 years now. I sold the practice quite a few years ago and I've gone back into practice since last year. So I have the same qualifications as Mom. This topic, superannuation, I'm going to basically throw a few questions at you so you can actually answer. I want it to be a little bit interactive so that you get an understanding as to all the changes that have taken place. Now, what do you understand by the word superannuation? Anyone? I guess all of you are working. You pay some sort of super, which is a super guarantee, 9.5%. You're aware of that? Okay, it's actually a means to force you into saving. Superannuation is similar. In this case, I'm going to be talking more about the changes that have gone to the self-managed superannuation fund, which indirectly also affects you as contributor to the SG, because you also can contribute to your own super fund. These are some of the changes that have taken place, and I think these are drastic changes that have taken place in the last 10 years. The purpose of the superannuation is about retirement savings and not just about wealth creation. When the government decided to make these changes, there are a lot of people that have created self-managed super funds, and they are sitting probably and creating more wealth out of it. Now, I've seen a case where the fund is valued at $10 million. That's $5 million to the husband and $5 million to the wife. These drastic changes affect them quite substantially. They both over 65. They have $3 million sitting in pension each. So of the $10 million, they're sitting with $6 million in pension. They get $120,000 pension per year per person. With these changes, that has to change. I'll come back to that a little later. Concessional contribution limits. These in the last 5 years have been hovering around $30,000 to $35,000 per individual. Then there was a change to the annual concessional contribution limit, which has changed from $180,000 per year to $100,000 per year. The last point, introducing a $1.6 million pension transfer balance cap. In the case that I've got, I've mentioned that each of them are sitting on $3 million each. The pension cap now is $1.6 million. So they have excess of $1.4 million sitting in pension, which they no longer can leave in pension come 1st July. They have to transfer the 1.4 million back into the accumulation phase. So what happens is they're only allowed to draw a pension on the 1.6 million. So their $120,000 each that they were drawing will be substantially reduced by that value. Now we have concessional contribution caps. Now, concessional contributions are basically what you and I make when we work for somebody. We have the 9.5%. Right, which is income, before your income is taxed. Then you could also have employer contributions or salary sacrifices in place. Now, not all of us can pay, let's say, $30,000 into super. In general, if we're earning $80,000, we're contributing about $8,000 in super. But we can make a salary sacrifice and pay the additional amount more. Now, prior to 30th of June this year, the caps were $30,000 if you were under 50 and $35,000 if you were over 50. The new concessional contribution caps come into effect on 1st of July, and that's $25,000 per year to all individuals. So you don't have to be over 50 or under 50. New concessional contributions, $25,000. Then you have concessional contributions which could qualify for the deduction. Now, as I said, we all work for somebody. If you're earning $80,000, we're paying about $8,000 in super. There's nothing stopping us from doing a salary sacrifice and paying the additional amount in. But there's also a case where if you don't do a salary sacrifice, and let's say you have an additional $10,000 and you want to put it into super, you can also put it into super and qualify for a tax deduction. Now, with the new limit of $25,000, any unused portion of the $25,000, and this balance can be carried forward over a rolling period of 5 years, provided you don't have more than $500,000 sitting in your super fund. Now there's an example that I've got, which I'm going to work through with you. And in this example, we've got in 2018-2019, Jane's employer made a contribution, which is the ASG, of $10,000 on her behalf. Jane did not make any additional contributions to the fund. The concessional contribution cap for the year 2018-2019 is $25,000. Therefore, her concessional contribution cap amount is $15,000. Now, that $15,000 is the $25,000 less the $10,000 that was paid on behalf of her by the employer. Now, what happens when you go forward? On 30th June 2023, Jane's balance is less than $500,000. Let's assume that the concessional contribution cap is still $25,000 in 2023. If Jane had to make a personal deductible contribution of $30,000 in addition to the $10,000 employer contribution, Jane has exceeded the cap by $15,000. She is able to increase her concessional contribution cap by using the unused contribution cap in 2018-16. There is a table that will come up below next to this, and you will actually see the difference. Now, if we look at this table, we are here. The $10,000 is what's paid by her employer. She's got a total cap for the year of 25. That's why there's 15 unused. It stays like that up until here, when she wants to make the 30,000 contribution. But as you can see, your limit is only 20. Your limit is 25, but you make a contribution of 30. But her employer has already put in 10 as well. Because she hasn't used these uncapped values in the other years, she's actually allowed to top it up here. Now, when it comes to the 5th year, if you have money, you can actually top up 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15 plus 15. Right. But let's say you go into this year. Now what happens is that will drop off because you can only roll it forward for 5 years. Right? So this is obviously the first year that you're starting off at 2019, so you're actually allowed to bring in 5 years contributions. Now, technically, I've seen an example where somebody is, when you use this, and in this year, he's going to top up at 125,000. But that is when he knows he's going to have the surplus funds to do it. Because he can't do it in the other years because he hasn't got the funds. That surplus funds is going to come from a property. Now in his case, he's got the property which he's going to sell, and he's going to put the money into super at that stage because that's when he's going to have the money. And he can actually use the bring forward rules. Now it's something different from what Mongi has mentioned earlier on. When you sell your property and you're over 65 and you want to put it into super, this person is less than 65 years old. Right? So his option is to use those unused caps that he hasn't used in the previous 5 years. Right? Those values could change because every year your salary will change. So the $10,000 you've got on the top could be 10 in the first year. But by the time you get to the year 5, that could be 15,000. So any unused portion can only be topped up. Then you have non-concessional contributions. And non-concessional contributions are after-tax contributions, and these contributions are made from the person's after-tax income. And you do not qualify for any further tax deduction write-offs. From 1st of July this year, the new concessional contribution limits, as per the slide, is $100,000 per year. Prior to 1st July, the cap was actually $180,000. So it's quite a substantial change from 180 to 100,000. Obviously, those people that have money and want to put the monies in, and they had 180,000, they could use that and put it into the super. A person under 65 years age can bring forward 3 years level of contributions. Now, under the current rules, one is able to bring forward 540,000, which is 180,000 times 3. But with the new legislation, this amount is reduced to 300,000. Now it's quite a substantial amount. Again, it comes back to the first slide that I said where it was wealth creation. It's for the rich that were creating the wealth and putting the monies into super. So if they had the money, they put it in at $540,000. Now, to claw back that, that's why these changes are drastic in the last 10 years when it comes to superfund. There are a lot of people that are actually using it and putting it in and getting the benefit of it. At the end of the day is that when you create the superfund, it's creating the wealth. So when you retire, you get the income out of it with no tax. Right? So in order to claw back, this is some of the changes that the government has made. A person under 65 will only be permitted to bring forward 3 years if pension cap balance of 1.6 million will not be exceeded. Last point, very, very important. As I said, my client is sitting on $3 million. The official pension cap now is only 1.6 million. So they have to transfer the 1.4 back into accumulation and retain it there. On the 1.4, the when it sits in your accumulation account, the super fund will earn a bit of income on it, and you have to pay tax on it. Whereas if they were sitting on old legislation, you could have it at $3 million, earnings would be there, exempt from tax. Not any longer. Now, with the transfer balance cap, this introduction of the 1.6 million pension cap, the implications if your balance is greater than 1.6, then any excess would have to be retained back into accumulation phase. This $1.6 billion cap will be indexed by 100,000 in line with CPI. To ensure that this new pension cap is not exceeded, all assets of the fund have to be reflected at the correct market value come 30th June 2017. Very, very crucial. Now, I'm actually an SMF super fund auditor as well. To me, that date, if I pick up a fund that comes to me on the 1st of July, first question is, have they complied and reflected all assets at at the correct market value on the 30th of June? That has an impact on the $1.6 million because whatever that value comes out at the correct market value would reflect whether the pension is going to be at 1.6 or is it going to be in excess of 1.6. If it's in excess, then our instructions to the accountants would be to transfer that excess back into accumulation. That cap of 1.6 pension cap, we have a case where you have solid property, elderly couple, as mentioned by Mang earlier on, and I think on the slide I did see the person was 75 years old. Yes, they can put their money in there, but they've got to be conscious of the $1.6 million cap. Now, not many people are going to be sitting at the $1.6 million. When we look at pension, now we say this specifically refers to account-based pension, the retirement phase. And I'll touch on the retirement phase in the next slide. When you look at the $1.6 million, the pension cap or the balance transfer cap, this will operate similar to a bank account. And you have to maintain records to record all the debits and all the credits into the balance transfer account. That's going to be very important because let's say when you start on the 1st of July, you could have a balance transfer cap of 1.6 million. Come 12 months later, every transaction that has gone in and out of that account as a debit and credit will have to be reflected. And the balance sitting at 30th of June 2018 must also not exceed 1.6 plus the CPI index. Now, with the $1.6 million transitional cap arrangements, an individual who triggered bring forward in 2015, stroke 2016, or 2016-2017 income year, they are permitted to contribute up to $540,000 before the 1st of July 2017, which is 5 days. Now, again, not many people would have that kind of money to use that bring forward ruling of 540,000. But there are cases where you could have, people would have 540,000 and they trigger that. The only crux in that matter is if they trigger the 540,000 bring forward rules this year, they have to make sure come before 30th June 2017 that that 540,000 has hit the bank account of the super fund, be it an industrial super fund or be it self-managed super fund, not a day later. So it's very, very crucial for that. The 1.6 million balance transfer cap requirements do not have to be satisfied for any non-concessional contributions made before 1st July 2017. What that basically means is when you look at the 1.6 million transfer cap that I'm saying is, if they contribute and if their balance was less than 1.6 million, they could pay the 540,000 into the super before Friday. And they fall under the old legislation, not new legislation. Right? Because the new legislation comes in 1st July. Now, got an example here. Ben made a non-concessional contribution of 300,000 in 2015 and 16. He exceeded his contribution cap of 180,000. Right? The minute he exceeds the 180,000, he triggered the bring forward rules. Right? Now, as I said, the concessional contribution cap is 180. He's contributed 300, so he's exceeded 120,000. Now in 2016, 2017, his cap is 240,000, which is the 540,000 less the 300 that he's contributed. The 540 is 180 times 3, and the 300 is what he's paid in the previous year. In 2016-17, he contributes a further 50,000 non-concessional contribution. Right. It's 50,000, it's less than the limits, so there's no implications for him. Well, what happens when he goes to the next year? As he triggered the bring forward rules in 2015 and 16, his transitional cap limit is only 460,000. Just to explain that, and that's how the 460,000 comes. Because he's triggered the bring forward ruling here in 15, 16, the non-concessional cap in that year is 180,000. We are already in the 16-17 year, which is also 180,000. Because the new limit only comes in on the 1st of July, so that's the new limit. If you take the 180 times 2 is 360 plus 100, that means his cap is only 460. That's all he can bring forward in terms of rule, which is the 460 that goes up there. But after 460, after 460, he's already used 300 when he introduced it in there. Right. And then in the next year, he's put in another 50, which brings you to 350. He's only left with another 110,000, which is 110. So in 2017 and 18, he can only contribute another 110,000. Very, very important when it comes to it. If he had to exceed that, excess contributional tax would have to be paid. Excess contributional tax is not at the 15% in what the super fund is. Any questions? Anyone's confused? Retirement phase. Retirement phase is when an account-based pension is payable by a fund. Now, for this to take place, most people will be in the age category of 65 plus. Now, a fund will not be in retirement phase if you have a transition to retirement income stream, that which is TRIS, is payable. Now, TRIS, you see as the point number 4 is, Jack is age 58, he's working and he commences a TRIS, which is transition to retirement, using 400,000 that he has in accumulation phase. He has not entered into a retirement phase. So he has entered into a retirement phase And therefore, it is not triggered transfer balance cap. Right? Because he is 58. I go back to point number 3 here. For you to trigger, bring the balance transfer cap of 1.6 million, you have to be this. For there to be an account-based debt, you must meet a condition of release. You can only retire in super fund and get money as a pension. Right. If you reach the retirement age, you are terminally mental condition, or you're permanently incapacitated, or you've reached the age of 65. And you cannot get a pension out of your super fund if you can't meet one of those requirements. And for the 1.6 million balance transfer cap, again, it comes in with that. If you meet those criteria, then you get your pension, you get your 1.6 million balance transfer cap. Okay. Any questions? Okay. If anyone needs any further information, they can contact me on that number there, or send me an email, and I'm glad to assist anyone that is have any questions regarding self-managed super funds or industry super funds, because I think they go hand in hand. We at the moment, the most of us that are here today, we may not contribute a lot in super funds, but I think it's very important for us to start creating the wealth that we want. And one of the means and vehicles is by putting extra monies into super, because the growth that you can get out of it is substantial, and at the end of the day, it also has a tax benefit. I mean, when we put the monies into super, paying the super contributions of 9.5% from our salaries is one thing. But you know, some people may say, you pay the 9.5%, we don't earn a lot, we can't put anything more. I'm talking about simple cases where you have an additional $2,000 that you could put in. And if you have the funds of $2,000 and if you put it in, you put that into a super, as I said, it could be industry or it could be self-managed. There's still a tax write-off on it, because you can still get a tax deduction because it's your contribution that you're making into super. As I said, if you go back to what I was saying in the first slide, right? There's nothing stopping us from making the contribution. In the example that I went through, her employer put in 10,000. Her employer put 10,000, which is what our employers are doing on our behalf as well. But if we have the extra amount, why can't we put it in? Because this is a tax deduction. Consensual contributions will qualify for the tax deduction. So if you have $2,000 and if you put it into super, on average, I would say most of us are sitting on a probably 25% tax bracket. You get a 25% tax bracket. So for putting $2,000 in, how much have you effectively put in? $1,500. It's a $500 tax, right? You get that $500 as a refund. So think about it logically. Thank you.